In earlier class, we proved Fermat's little theorem. So we discussed proof of Fermat's little theorem in very simple way, but there is a different proof of the fact a to the power p is congruent to a model p, means of Fermat's little theorem, involving induction on a with the help of binomial theorem. So there are another theorems called Fermat's last theorem or Fermat's great theorem. That's why to distinguish from these theorem, they renamed this theorem as Fermat's little theorem, or simply we said as Fermat's theorem. So let's recall the fact. Let p be a prime and suppose that p does not divides a, then a to the power p minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo p. This is the Fermat's little theorem. If p is a prime, then a to the power p is congruent to a modulo p for any integer a. This is corollary to Fermat's little theorem. Also we discuss the lemma: if p and q are distinct primes with a to the power p congruent to a modulo q and a to the power q is congruent to a modulo p, then a to the power pq is congruent to a modulo pq. So we discuss these three things, and we have also proven these three facts. Also we discussed in earlier lecture applications of Fermat's theorem. The most important application of Fermat's theorem is to identify whether given integer is prime or not. So let's move to the next example from problem set 3.2. This may consider as application of Fermat's theorem also. Let's have example. Find the units digit of 3 to the power 100 by using Fermat's theorem. So here in this example we have to find out unit digit of 3 to the power 100. Whatever the number occurs after calculating this quantity, we have to say what is the unit digit. So in mathematical way it is not possible to say, or it is possible to say, but it takes so much time to calculate the power of 3 to the 100. But Fermat's theorem make it easy. So this is the application, or we may consider this as an application. So let's have proceed to find unit digit of 3 raised to 100. So while finding unit digits, we need modulo 10. So we need something modulo 10 to find units digit, and 10 is equals to 10 can be factorized as 5 into 2. So 10 is equals to 5 into 2. So here now 5, since 5 doesn't divide 3, here we are working on this example 3 to the power, we are calculating 3 to the power 100. Here we consider a as 3 and p as prime p as 5. So 5 doesn't divide 3, then by Fermat's theorem, what was Fermat's theorem? A to the power p minus 1 congruent to 1 model p whenever p doesn't divide say. So here our 5 does not divide 3, that's why 3 to the power 5 minus 1, that is 3 to the power 4, is congruent to 1 modulo 5. Now we have to calculate 3 to the power 100. So 4 into 25, 4 into 25, 100. So this implies 3 to the power 100 is equal to 3 to the power 4 whole power 25 is congruent to, but 3 to the power 4 is congruent to 1 modulo 5. So that's why this quantity is congruent to 1 to the power 25 modulo 5, and 1 to the power 25 is 1. So therefore 3 to the power 100 is congruent to 1 modulo 5. So first here we calculated 3 to the power 100 congruent to what modulo 5. In next we will calculate 3 to the power 100 is congruent to what modulo 2. And so as a is congruent to b modulo n, this implies n divides a minus b. So using this congruence implies 5 divides 3 to the power 100 minus 1. Now similarly 2 does not divide 3. So again by Fermat's theorem we have 3 is congruent to 1 modulo 2. Means 3 to the power 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So 3 to the power 1 means 3. 3 is congruent to 1 modulo 2. So this implies 3 to the power 100 is equals to, or 3 to the power 100 is congruent to 1 to the power 100 modulo 2. As 3 is congruent to 1 modulo 2. But 1 to the power 100 is 1. That's why 3 to the power 100 is congruent to 1 modulo 2. Which imply, again by definition of congruence, 2 divides 3 to the power 100 minus 1. Now there is one result we discussed in earlier lecture. So many times we discussed, whenever a divides c and b divides c, then the product a into b, that is product of ab, divides c. So using that, here 5 divides 3 to the power 100 minus 1, 2 divides 3 to the power 100 minus 1. That's why 5 into 2 divides 3 to the power 100 minus 1. This implies 10 divides 3 to the power 100 minus 1. And by definition of congruence, whenever n divides a minus b, we said a is congruent to b modulo n. So this implies 3 to the power 100 is congruent to 1 modulo 10. Therefore, units digit of 3 to the power 100 is 1. So here we find unit digit of 3 to the power 100 by using Fermat's theorem. So this is the application of Fermat's theorem. Now suppose if you ask what is the 10th digit of 3 to the power 100, so how to calculate? Here you have to proceed in same manner, but as here we use modulo 10 to find unit digits, so there you have to find, you have to use modulo 100 to find 10th digit. Now take as homework, find its 10th digit, I mean 10th place. After calculating 3 to the power 100, what is the 10th digit or 10th place of that number? So this is one of the application of Fermat's theorem. Next example from same problem set 5.2. If GCD of a comma 30 is equals to 1, then show that 60 divides a to the power 4 plus 59. Let's have solution. We have to prove 60 divides a to the power 4 plus 59. So 60 can be factorized as 2 square into 3 into 5. 5 3s are 15, 15 4s are 60. So as GCD of a comma 30 is equals to 1, this implies GCD of a comma 2 is equals to 1, GCD of a comma 3 is equals to 1, and GCD of a comma 5 equals to 1. Why? Because 2, 3, 5 are factors of 30, and as GCD of a comma 30 is 1, that's why GCD of a with 2 and 3 and 5 is also 1 respectively. Also GCD of a comma 4 is equals to 1. Now showing 16 divides a to the power 4 plus 59 is same as a to the power 4 is congruent to minus 59 modulo 60 by definition of congruence of a and b. or a to the power 4 is congruent to 1 modulo 60. Why? Because minus 59 is congruent to 1 modulo 60. That's why now we will prove either. To prove this one, we may prove either this one or this one. So both three things are same. Now by using Fermat's theorem, as GCD of a comma 5 is equals to 1, this implies 5 doesn't divides a. GCD of a comma 5 is equals to 1, this implies 5 doesn't divides a, and as 5 doesn't divides a, so by Fermat's theorem, a to the power 5 minus 1, that is a to the power 4, is congruent to 1 modulo 5, and this implies 5 divides a to the power 4 minus 1 by definition of congruences. Also GCD of a comma 3 is equals to 1. This implies a square by Fermat's theorem, a to the power 3 minus 1, that is a square, is congruent to 1 modulo 3. Similarly, GCD of a comma 2 is equals to 1. This implies 2 doesn't divide a. Why we are saying 2 doesn't divide a, 3 doesn't divide a, 5 doesn't divide a? Because if 5 divides a, then GCD of a comma 5 never be 1. It must be 5. If 3 divides a, then GCD of a comma 3 need not be 1. Similarly here, GCD of a comma 2 need not be 1 if 2 divides a. That's why 2 doesn't divides a, and that's why by using Fermat's theorem, a to the power 2 minus 1, that is a to the power 1, is congruent to 1 modulo 2. Now here we obtained 5 divides a to the power 4 minus 1. Now we calculate 3 divides a to the power 4 minus 1 and 2 divides a to the power 4 minus 1. We will calculate these two things from these two equations. So here a square is congruent to 1 modulo 3, multiplying on both side of congruences by a square. So what we obtain, a square into a square, a to the power 4 is congruent to a square. 1 into a square modulo 3. But a square is congruent to what? A square is congruent to 1 modulo 3. That's why a to the power 4 is congruent to 1 modulo 3. So a to the power 4 is congruent to 1 modulo 3. This implies 3 divides a to the power 4 minus 1. Now we have obtained two facts. Next, as a is congruent to 1 modulo 2, this implies multiplying on both sides by a. So we obtain a square is congruent to a modulo 2, but a is congruent to what? 1. That's why a square is also congruent to 1 modulo 2. This implies 2 divides a square minus 1. Also from this equation, a square is congruent to 1 modulo 3. Also from this equation, a is congruent to 1 modulo 2. We obtain a square is congruent to 1 modulo 2. This implies a square is congruent to minus 1 modulo 2, and this implies 2 divides a square plus 1, because 1 is congruent to minus 1 modulo 2. That's why as in here 1 is congruent to minus 1 modulo 2. That's why a square is congruent to minus 1 modulo 2. So as a square is congruent to 1 modulo 2 implies a square congruent to minus 1 modulo 2. This implies 2 divides a square plus 1. So here 2 divides a square minus 1, here 2 divides a square plus 1. This implies the product 2 into 2, that is 4, divides a to the power 4 minus 1, because a square minus 1 into a square plus 1, that is equals to, means a minus b into a plus b is a square minus b square. Using that formula, a square minus 1 into a square plus 1 is a square its square, that is a to the power 4 minus 1 square is 1. So that's why 4 divides a to the power 4 minus 1. Now we have three things. 3 divides a to the power 4 minus 1, 5 divides a to the power 4 minus 1, and 4 divides a to the power 4 minus 1. And GCD of a comma 3 is 1, GCD of a comma 5 is 1, and GCD of a comma 4 is equals to 1. So again using the same result, the product of 3, 5 and 4, that is 60, divides a to the power 4 minus 1. This implies a to the power 4 is congruent to 1 modulo 60, but 1 is congruent to minus 59 modulo 60. This implies a to the power 4 is congruent to minus 59 modulo 60, and by definition we have 60 divides a to the power 4 plus 59. So this is the solution to the problem. Here also we used Fermat's theorem. So this is the article on Fermat's theorem. Now as we discuss what is prime number, now there is a, in 25 centuries ago, there is discovered that an integer n is prime if and only if n divides 2 to the power n minus 2. An integer n is prime if and only if n divides 2 to the power n minus 2. Then we say that n is a prime. So these are the special prime numbers. Let's have definition. A composite number n is called pseudo prime if n divides 2 to the power n minus 2. So here n is composite number, and this composite number is called pseudo prime if and only if n divides 2 to the power n minus 2. So by definition, when n divides the difference of two integers, this implies 2 to the power n is congruent to 2 modulo n. So any composite number n is called pseudo prime if 2 to the power n is congruent to 2 modulo n, or if n divides 2 to the power n minus 2. So the smallest pseudo primes are 341, 561, 645 and 1105. These are the 4 smallest pseudo prime. Now there is one result for any integer d. If d divides n, then 2 to the power d minus 1 divides 2 to the power n minus 1. This is the result. We use this result to prove theorem 5.2. So let's have statement. If n is an odd pseudo prime, then m suffix n is equals to 2 to the power n minus 1 is a larger one. Means here we have n is an odd pseudo prime, then the number mn means n suffix n, which is equals to 2 to the power n minus 1, is also a pseudo prime, but it is a larger. So this we have to prove. Means here our claim is to show mn is pseudo prime. So when we say mn is pseudo prime, when mn divides 2 to the power mn minus 2, then only we say that mn is pseudo prime. So let's have proof. Because n is a composite number, so we can write n as n is equals to r into s. So every composite number can be factorized. So n is equals to r into s, where 1 is less than, r is less than equals to s is less than s. R and s are in between 1 and n. So n is equals to rs. This implies your r divides n. So from this equation we can say r divides n, and using this result, whenever d divides n, we have 2 to the power d minus 1 is divide 2 to the power n minus 1. So here r divides n, this implies 2 to the power r minus 1 divides 2 to the power n minus 1. So thus as n is equals to rs, this implies r divides n. Then we have 2 to the power r minus 1 divides 2 to the power n minus 1. But value of 2 to the power n minus 1 is 2 to the power n minus 1 is equals to mn. This is a notation. So this implies 2 to the power r minus 1 divides m1. So this implies m suffix n is a composite number. So here we proved mn is a composite number. To prove mn is pseudo prime, first we required mn is composite number. Then second thing we required mn should divide 2 to the power mn minus 2. So then only we say that mn is a pseudo prime by using definition. Now given that n is a pseudo prime, so as n is a pseudo prime, this implies by definition n divides 2 to the power n minus 2, and this implies 2 to the power n is congruent to 2 modulo n. Again this implies 2 to the power n minus 2 is equals to kn for some integer k. So whenever we say that a is congruent to b modulo n, this implies n divides a minus b, and the difference a minus b can be expressed as a minus b is equals to some k times n, where k is integer. Same fact we use here. As n is pseudo prime, n divides 2 to the power n minus 2. That's why 2 to the power n is congruent to 2 modulo n, and this implies 2 to the power n minus 2 is equals to kn for some k belongs to z set of integers. So we obtained this one. Now 2 to the power mn minus 1 is equals to value of mn is what? Substitute here value of mn. Value of mn is 2 to the power n minus 1. So here we have 2 to the power n minus 1 minus this one. So minus 1 minus 1 minus 2. So finally we reach as 2 to the power 2n minus 2. But 2 to the power n minus 2 is equals to kn. So this is equals to 2 to the power kn. So here we obtain 2 to the power mn minus 1 is equals to 2 to the power kn. Thus now subtracting minus 1 on both sides, we obtain 2 to the power mn minus 1 is equals to 2 to the power kn minus 1. But we can write this as 2 to the power n into k. We can write this as 2 to the power n into k minus 1, which gives, now expand this. So we know that x to the power k minus 1 is equals to x minus 1 into 1 plus x square plus and so on plus x to the power k minus 1. Using this formula, suppose 2 to the power n, treat 2 to the power n as x. So x to the power k minus 1 is equals to x minus 1 into 1 plus x square plus and so on plus x to the power k minus 1. So here we obtained using that formula 2 to the power n minus 1 into 1 plus 2 to the power n plus 2 to the power n its square plus and so on 2 to the power n its power k minus 1. But 2 to the power n minus 1 is equals to mn. So mn into this term remains same, 1 plus 2 to the power n plus 2 to the power n into 2, 2n plus and so on 2 to the power n into k minus 1. And this is congruent to 0 modulo mn. So therefore 2 to the power mn minus 1 is congruent to 0 modulo mn. Adding on both sides positive 1, we obtain 2 to the power mn minus 1 is congruent to 1 modulo mn. Here we add plus 1 on both sides. So minus 1 plus 1 0, 0 plus 1 1. So we obtained this one. This implies 2 to the power mn is congruent to 2 modulo mn. So this term is nothing but 2 to the power mn upon 2. So from this we reach at 2 to the power mn is congruent to 2 modulo mn. Here we multiplied this equation by 2 on both sides. So 2 into 2 to the power mn minus 1 is 2 to the power mn, and 1 into 2 is 2. So we reach at 2 to the power mn is congruent to 2 modulo mn. And by definition of congruence, whenever a is congruent to b modulo mn, this implies mn divides a minus b. So here mn should divide 2 to the power mn minus 2. So whenever, by definition of pseudo prime, whenever n divides 2 to the power n minus 2, we say that composite number n is pseudo prime. Here we already proved mn is composite number. Now we reached at second condition, that mn divides 2 to the power mn minus 2. That's why mn is a pseudo prime. Hence mn is a pseudo prime whenever n is a whenever n is a pseudo prime, which proves the theorem. Next, a composite integer n for which a to the power n is congruent to a modulo n is called a pseudo prime to the base a. Any composite integer n for which a to the power n is congruent to a modulo n is called a pseudo prime to the base a. If a to the power n is congruent to a modulo n for all a belongs to z, such that GCD of a comma n is equals to 1, then n is called absolute pseudo prime or Carmichael number. For example, 561, 1108, 2821, 15,841. These are the least absolute pseudo primes. So absolute pseudo prime means whenever a to the power n is congruent to a modulo n and a and n are co-primes, then we say that n is absolute pseudo prime. Let's have one example. Show that 561 is absolute pseudo prime. So we have to show that this is an absolute pseudo prime. So let's have proof. So first we factorize 561. 561 can be factorized as 3 into 11 into 17. Assume a be such that GCD of a comma 3 is equals to 1, GCD of a comma 11 is equals to 1, GCD of a comma 17 is equals to 1. Here we choose an integer a such that a is co-prime to all these 3, 11 and 17. So that's why GCD of a comma 3 1, GCD of a 11 is 1 and GCD of a comma 17 is 1. Now as their GCD is as a is co-prime to 3, then by Fermat's theorem GCD of a comma 3 is equals to 1. This implies 3 doesn't divide a. That's why by using Fermat's theorem a square is congruent to 1 modulo 3. Similarly here also we can apply Fermat's theorem, which gives a to the power 10 is congruent to 1 modulo 11. Similarly here a to the power 16 is congruent to 1 modulo 17. Now a to the power 560 is congruent to a square into 280. 2 into 280 is 560. But a square is congruent to what? A square is congruent to 1 modulo 3. So that's why this a square to the power 280 is congruent to 1 to the power 280 modulo 3, but 1 to the power 280 is 1. That's why this whole quantity is congruent to 1 modulo 3. So here we obtain a to the power 560 is congruent to 1 modulo 3. Similarly, a to the power 560 is equals to a to the power 10 into 56, but a to the power 10 is congruent to 1 modulo 11. That's why a to the power 560 is also congruent to 1 modulo 11. Similarly, a to the power 560 is congruent to a to the power 16 into 35, but a to the power 16 is congruent to 1 modulo 17. That's why a to the power 560 is congruent to 1 modulo 70. So here our claim is to show 561 is absolute pseudo prime. Means we have to show that a to the power 561 is congruent to a modulo 561. This is our claim. So these all congruences, these all three equations gives rise to a single congruence. A to the power 560 is congruent to 1 modulo 561, because 3 into 11 into 17 is 561. So this all three congruence gives a single congruence relation. A to the power 560 is congruent to 1 modulo 561, where GCD of a comma 561 is equals to 1. Why? Because a is co-prime to its factor. That's why this is also co-prime to a. Therefore a to the power 561 is equals to a to the power 560 into a, which is congruent to a modulo 561. Now here we have to calculate a to the power 561. So I multiplied on both side by a. So a to the power 560 into a is congruent to 1 into a modulo 561. So a to the power 560 into a is a to the power 561, and 1 into a is a modulo 561. So we obtained a to the power 561 is congruent to a modulo 561 for all a. This shows that 561 is an absolute pseudo prime. So by definition of absolute pseudo prime, when we say that n is absolute pseudo prime, whenever a to the power n is congruent to a modulo n, then we say that n is a absolute pseudo prime. So here we obtain a to the power 561 is congruent to a modulo 561. That's why 561 is an absolute pseudo prime. So this is the example on pseudo primes. Now this example for homework, show that 1108, 2821 are absolute pseudo primes. Try this example at home. So in next lecture we discuss Wilson's theorem. Next article is the last article of this unit. Thank you.